I think it's 1:08, and being mindful of the time, we are going to officially start this year's North American Native Plant Society Annual General Meeting 2024. So welcome to all of you that are in attendance. We are so happy to have you and so excited to share this next few hours with you. Again, to those of you that have recently just logged on, my name is Natasha Gonzalez. I am a member of the Nanps board, and I will be facilitating today's session. So this is our agenda for this afternoon, jam-packed. We will be going through some business basics, a bit of a year in review. We'll have some updates from our Land Management Committee, an exciting talk that's going to be held by Stefan Weber, some awards to be handed out, video contests, closing remarks. Hopefully everything will be wrapped up by 3:15 this afternoon. So it's going to be a full afternoons, and we will begin. Before we proceed to our first order of business, we will start with the land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge we are gathering on the traditional territories of many nations. Presently, we are meeting in Toronto on lands covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed with multiple Mississauga and Chippewa bands. We acknowledge the First Nations and their traditional territories across North America as the caretakers of this land. The time is 1:14 with membership present. At this time, we do have quorum, and I will move to the first order of business. And that being to vote to accept the 2024 AGM agenda, which is visible on the screen. And at this point in time, I would just like to highlight the fact that membership, everyone who's in attendance today who is a Nanps member, is being asked to vote on the next two motions. To do so, please raise your hand in the Zoom platform as an indication of accepting a vote. The first order of business is officially put forth a motion to accept the 2024 AGM agenda. Membership, please vote now. Motion accepted. The next item on the docket that you're being asked to vote for is to accept the 2023 AGM minutes. These were included as part of the AGM registration and were available on the Nanps website. So I put forth a second motion to accept the 2023 AGM minutes. Okay. I think we have sufficient voting to say this motion too has been passed. Motion accepted. Thank you. On that, I pass the next order of business is the financial report, which will be discussed by our auditor, Jeffrey Milgram, and our treasurer, Blair Merrick.
All right, thanks, Natasha. Good afternoon, everyone. Nanps members and visitors. Thank you to all of you who have taken time out of your afternoon to, or possibly morning, depending on your time zone, to join us today. Again, my name is Blair Merrick, and I've been the treasurer of Nanps since the summer of 2021. So this is my fourth AGM, and happy to be back. As treasurer, I'm pleased to introduce our first presentation, our first presenter, in the person of Mr. Jeffrey Milgram, professional accountant and auditor for Nanps. If you've attended past Nanps AGMs, I'm sure his name and face are familiar to you. So Jeffrey has been the Nanps auditor for a number of years and will walk us through the financial highlights for the financial year ended December 31st, 2021. I will share a screen as Jeffrey describes the highlights, but if any of you are having trouble or would like to review the financials on your own, something that I enjoy doing personally, may not be your cup of tea. I've just included the link to the financials in the chat. So with that, I will turn things over to Jeffrey and share screen.
Yep, perfect, Blair. Thanks very much. Blair, on your financial report screen, do you have the financials, or do you wish me, if you're not sharing the screen, I can throw them up on the screen?
No, I've got them.
Okay, why don't you go over to the profit and loss statement, and I'll just walk through the highlights while I do my quick little intro.
Sure.
Good day and afternoon to everybody. I appreciate your time and trouble on a beautiful day. I'm sure you are all chomping at the bit to get out there and rake those leaves. Just so anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Jeffrey Milgram. I run a small boutique accounting firm in the north end of Toronto. As Blair correctly indicated, I've been with Nanps for many years and happy to serve the organization, both from a financial and a supportive nature, simply because I come from a camping and outdoors environment background as well. So I also work with pollinator organizations, other environmental organizations, land trusts, and so on. So it fits quite nicely in my niche of clients that I enjoy working with. And also, usually their missions are ones that myself and my family support. So I appreciate the time and opportunity to talk with you. Blair, if you can go to the financials, that would be great on page 5, if you happen to have it up.
Yep.
All right, fabulous. So as I've described over the years, Nanps is
not visible.
Not visible. All right, well, let's see. Not visible yet. Okay. If Blair can't get it up, I will.
Sorry, board members, is it no one's seeing this?
Nope.
Just the financial.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it, but there's a tab that you must select on the top of the screen to switch over.
At the top, there's a arrow that says View Options. If you click that and then select Blair's screen,
Oh, beautiful. There you go.
shared screens, Blair, then you should see.
Excellent. Thank you, Blair. Got it.
Thanks all.
Even I. Okay. Namps's budget is not massive. It's a small organization, compact, knit, does a lot with volunteers, as you all know. The main fundraiser in the year is our plant sale, or your plant sale. So that is a main fundraising driver for the year. Last year, you can see in the middle of that page, $50,000 was raised last year, $46,000 this year. And the plant sale, it is, fairly reliant on weather, and but it is fairly consistent in the post-pandemic period. Ever since they've gone back to in-person, things have leveled off more or less in the $45,000 to $50,000 range, as opposed to a little bit less than that in the pandemic years, when everything was either stifled or was just on pickup and pre-order. You'll see also that there's donations are relatively consistent from the memberships over the year. That very top line, $11,000 last year, $13,000 this year. Membership as well as increased ever so slightly. That's inching up in the post-pandemic years as well. And the only other item of the revenue that I'll point out as a major item, which is for you anyway, is that last item in the revenue section, which is the grants. Okay, the grant revenue is really spoken for monies. It was used to fund a video and production and public outreach video and marketing initiative. You'll see that in the lower half underneath the expenses. You'll see that the consulting fees were for just under $15,000 in the year. So that's what was used to for the individual to work with Nanps and the management. That was obviously funded by the grant. So net effect on the bottom line was minimal. Okay, there was really no surplus there. Other expenses indicated are pretty consistent with the year before. Professional fees, that's the bookkeeping and the audit fee. Property taxes for the land holdings that we still have. insurance, and so on are relatively consistent year over year. As Blair can show you right at that bottom line, the surplus for the year is just $26,000 compared to $15,000 last year, primarily as a result of, increased in membership and increased donations and a little bit of interest earned on some monies. All right. So that gives you an indication of the operations for the year. I said, like, the budget itself is no more than $100,000, but it's interesting what Nanps is able to do with that small budget, as I've indicated. If Blair, if you want to go back into the balance sheet, I'll just kind of cover that off right there. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Nanps is in a good position. They got $259,000 in reserve. What that indicates is if the organization decided to disband or for whatever reason, they would have $259,000 left over at the end of the day. All right. That part of that $259,000 is tied up in the capital assets of $75,000, which is the real property. That's the cost base of the real property. That was a donated property many years ago. Its value at that time was 75 grand. We just leave it at cost. We don't present value land. It may have a value more or less depending on if and when it is, or if it is ever disposed of. Other than that, investments and cash assets account for just over 200,000 of that $260,000 surplus. All right. And the only other item is the memberships. You have memberships coming in for 2024. Remember, this is a snapshot at December 23. Memberships coming in for 24 were 17,802. That will become revenue in the next year. You'll see that that is consistent year over year, where the membership opens up and people prepay their next years. They're just chomping at the bit, which is excellent. If there's any questions over what I've kind of gone over, I am more than happy to field them. If they're of a general nature, we can answer them right away. If they're of a specific nature, I'm sure that either Blair or myself should be able to handle any particular questions. And thank you for your attention and your time. Doesn't appear that anybody's jumping at there a bit, Blair. So you want to take it from there and move on to the next motion?
All right, thanks. Thanks very much, Jeffrey. Always so capably handled. And so with no questions, we'll move on to two motions that I've got. The first one, and actually I'll just share my non-professional accountant opinion, and that is that Nanps is on stable footing from a financial perspective. And at the board, we make every effort to consider the worth of all of our expenditures and put them through a transparent approval process. So we are certainly stewarding the financial assets of the organization with care. So just a reminder, only members can vote on official motions. If you're not a member, again, thank you for joining us as a guest today. Please check out our website for more information on how you can become a member. So having reviewed the financial statements, I'll move that those audited financial statements be approved. And
second.
Thank you, John. So again, please use the reaction. All right, that looks approved. Lower your hands in time for the next motion. And that is with respect to our auditor for the upcoming year. So the board in general, and myself as treasurer more specifically, have worked with Jeffrey for a number of years. We are very happy with the working relationship that we have established. We trust and value his work, his feedback, his advice, and his personal style. The board discussed this relationship in our most recent monthly board meeting and are in favor of retaining Jeffrey for the upcoming year. So having shared that background and perspective, I move that Nanps retain Jeffrey as auditor for the upcoming year. And again, a seconder.
Second.
Thank you, John. So again, please raise your hands. All right, and that looks good as well. Jeffrey, welcome back.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will be excusing myself today if I have another appointment shortly thereafter, but normally I would stick around. My very best. I look forward to working with you guys for another year. And thank you very much for the vote of confidence. It is greatly appreciated by both myself and Naomi.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much. Best of all.
All right, so back to myself on the microphone. In past years, I would now turn the mic over to Alice Kong to address the attendees about the state of the board of directors. This year is going to be a bit different, so I'm going to continue talking and again switch topics to the state of the board of directors. This past year, 2023-24, Nanps operated with 9 directors on the board, 3 of whom are stepping down. And I wanted to let you know and say a few words about the 3 members who are stepping down. Firstly, and they are all here and visible and present today. So firstly, Adam Centurione became a board member 2 years ago. Most visibly, he's been responsible for managing the video contest that forms one of the entertaining parts of the AGM for the past number of years. So Adam has led that and quite effectively, and we certainly appreciate his visible efforts to the Nanps membership on that front. But he's also been involved in the Land Management Committee, has visited our property at the China Tree Woods, has attended the plant sale at the TBG, and has encouraged the organization to be more active with First Nations. So those are some of the things that Adam achieved in his 2 years. Secondly, Natasha Gonzalez, our host today, capable host today, is stepping down after completing a full term on the board. Natasha is currently the 2nd longest serving board member and has been very involved with our educational webinar events. She is featured as a subject matter expert in one of our educational videos and has played important roles in our strategy and fundraising committees. She has done all of these things with eloquence and an air of positivity, and has conducted herself with great aplomb. And last but not least, finally, Alice Kong, the longest serving board member by quite a stretch. I could honestly take quite a spell of time to talk about all the things that Alice has achieved and done and will continue to do for Nanps, but I'll stick to a few highlights. Alice is well known for leading both the plant sale and the seed exchange committees. Thankfully, those things will continue. Since I joined the board, Alice has consistently been my go-to person for organizational knowledge, both as treasurer and as a director at large. Whenever I sought to know more about the background and how things were done, she knows the governance of the organization better than anyone, and knows and has working relationships with all of our key contributors. She knows the technology, Salesforce, the Google environment, PayPal, Square. Essentially, it's easy to conclude that if Alice didn't know it, it probably wasn't worth knowing. And after a lengthy spell on the board, a much appreciated lengthy spell on the board, Alice is stepping down from the board. Thankfully, again, she will continue much of her committee work where she is equally valuable. The organization is very grateful for the time that Alice has spent volunteering her time on the board. So again, to the 3 of you, a big thank you for all the volunteer time you've given to this organization. So the rest of the board will be returning. The other 6 of us are Lynn Wu, our secretary, John Foster, Clement Kent, Kim Bell, Sarah Gladkey, and myself. So that's 6 of us. Knowing that we needed to find additional names to the board, in the summer, we reached out via e-news to our substantial readership list and received a number of expressions of interest in joining the board. Once summer ended, the board got busy interviewing candidates, and we feel fortunate to present 4 potential new board members. Jen McCausland brings an entrepreneurial background, volunteer experience with native plant organizations, and both a prairie and an Atlantic Canada plant perspective. And I don't know if Jen's here or not. I'll move on, and the people who are here can raise their hands and say hello. Elena Caneva has a background in administration and 15 years of experience working with not-for-profit organizations. Anna Minaldi has a background in science and has worked as a landscape designer. She has also recently joined our land management committee. And Sybil Foppa brings a long professional background in mental health, volunteer board experience, and a lengthy interest in native plants both in Europe and Ontario. And I believe 99% sure Sybil's away today. So if any of the others of you are here today, I know I saw at least one of you. Feel free to raise your hand and say hello. Elena, would you like to say hello?
Hi there. Yes, I'm here and grateful to be considered for the board. Thank you.
Thank you. And I haven't seen, I don't think, which is fine. So with that, I'll move on to the next motion, and that is a motion to approve the returning 6 board members and the 4 new candidates as the Nanps Board of Directors for 2024-25. So again, Nanps members, please vote by raising your hands. All right, and that looks good as well. So thank you everyone for your support. We look forward to a great upcoming year. New board members are meeting second Tuesday in November. A lot of great discussions about how to promote the message and the mission of our organization. So look forward to working with the returning members and also the 4 new board members. And with that, I'll turn the mic over to our secretary, Lynn Wu, and she'll present the year in review, noting highlights of this past year from the last AGM to the present time.
Thanks, Blair. Hi, everyone. My name's Lynn. As Blair mentioned, I am the secretary for Nanps, and I will be going over a quick year in review of the last year and highlighting a couple of the major things that we've done as an organization last year. So just a quick glance at membership. So in 2024, currently, we have 715 new members who are active. Also wanted to point out here that we did send out a member survey this year to better understand our members, and really want to thank everyone who did and responded to our survey, and will continue to work so that we can understand what our members would like to do and see more of, and provide that for our membership as well. In terms of communications, we have a number of things that we provide for our membership. So we have the Blazing Star, which is our quarterly publication that is sent out, and many thanks to our editor, Irene, and proofreader, Vicky, who assist with that. I know many of our members really enjoy reading the Blazing Star every quarter. We also have the e-newsletter, which is sent out on a monthly basis, and many thanks to our communications coordinator, Ali, who helps us send those out. We have our annual video contest, which we'll speak in a little bit more detail later on for this year as well. We're active on many social media channels, as you can see here. And last but not least, we have our webinar series. So this past year, we had a webinar in March of this past year on the risks of climate change for the home garden, which was with Kimberly Bell, who is also one of our board members. And this year as well, we have our speaker who will be speaking later on in this AGM. And I'm very excited to hear that speech as well. So in terms of events, we had our regular plant sale at the Toronto Botanical Garden this year. And by the numbers, we've had obviously very big turnout as always, and had more than 5,000 native plants sold, 6 growers and suppliers who were there, and 60 volunteers. So thank you everyone who came out either to visit us or came out as a volunteer. Really appreciate obviously all of your support. You can see some of the pictures here from our plant sale, and it's always one of the highlights of our year as well. This year, we also had a garden tour that was put on by Saya. It was a bit of a garden tour and scavenger hunt, which was done in early September this year, which was very exciting and new. And thank you a lot to Saya, who invited us to a tour of her gardens with generous help of all of the friends and volunteers. There was a great scavenger hunt that offered visitors a chance to get to know the plants, the habitats, and the wildlife that they support in the garden. And there was even some plants that were taken home from that visit as well. So thank you very much to that. So that was a new event this year that we had. In terms of community events, we had several information tables at several of our more local community events earlier this year. So the January 28th, Seed Sitters at Carrot Common, March 2nd, Brickwork Seed Saturday, April 6th, Scarborough Seed Saturday, April 13th, Pollination Guelph Symposium, and May 29th, visiting an eco fair at the General Prairie Public School. So Nanps does attend a number of events throughout the year, and we had a number of great events. And thank you to all of our volunteers who helped represent us at those events as well. SeedX as well by numbers. We had 29 people who donated seeds in the last year and 85 people who requested seeds. I know we have another great year coming up for SeedX as well. So thank you for all of our volunteers. And this has always been a great initiative that is well supported by volunteers and our membership as well. I'll now pass it on to John, who will speak a little bit further about the Land Management Committee.
Thanks, Lynn. Land Management Committee, we run 2 properties for Nanps. That's Shining Tree Woods down on Lake Erie, and Sinkin Island Cove, which is located up on the Saugeen Bruce Peninsula. We've met regularly once per month until June of this year. We were missing the deeds for both properties, and thankfully we obtained both those deeds for the properties earlier in the year. That's important to have those documents on hand in case we need them for various purposes. We found a survey map, thanks to one of our one of the committee members, for Shining Tree Woods property. We found out that the Zinkin Island Cove property has never been surveyed. So we'll have to be discussing that in the committee perhaps later this year and into 2025. We have ecological land classifications have been done for both Shining Tree Woods and Zinkin Island Cove. One of our committee members, Anna Minaldi, is trained in ELC. She did a check of the ELC for both properties. We've obtained permission from Friends of Second Marsh to adopt their waiver and photo consent form for use for the Land Management Committee and the rest of the North American Native Plant Society. And I just want to add to this particular comment that I've completed the waiver and consent form, And at the next board meeting for Nanps, I'll be presenting the preliminary waiver and photo consent form for approval by the board. We also did some bio-inventory planning for the Shining Tree Woods and Zinc Island Cove. Our next steps as a committee for these two properties, we have to determine who's still interested on being on the Land Management Committee, and including some who've already expressed interest in volunteering. We may have to do some additional recruiting to beef up our numbers on the committee. The waiver and the photo consent is, as I said, is now done in preliminary form, and I'll be presenting that at the next board meeting. We have to finish planning for bio-inventories of both Shining Tree Woods and Zinc Island Cove. There was a preliminary inventory done in 1992 for Shining Tree Woods, and a Zinc Island Cove partial inventory was done in a visit to the area by Escarpment Biosphere Conservancy and the Friends of the Owen Sound Field Naturalists back in 2014, and they presented their report in 2015. So by doing updated bio inventories, we can get a better handle on what we have in those two woods. Those bio inventories, I'm going to probably plan them in 2025 with the committee. We should probably have inventories done in spring, summer, and autumn to cover all three seasons. We want to check with people who are interested in volunteering for the bio inventories and do some additional recruiting for this. We had some interest in bio inventory in the summer, so we have to get back to those people. One other thing that we have to consider for both properties is neither of them has a proper land management plan, so that's a big item that we're going to need to do for the two properties. We also have to maybe cost out and plan for a land survey for Zinc Island Cove so that we know what we've got as far as boundaries go, and how much of our land is on the water and how much is abutting other properties. So I would like to acknowledge several people that have been on the Land Management Committee. These people, their volunteering and work on the committee is much appreciated. These are Kimberly Bell, Olivia Ziwak, Bita Gafera Karazad, Jerry McClellan, Anna Monaldi, and Laura Pisco. And so that's my report on the two properties that are owned by the land owned by North American Native Plant Society and looked after by the Land Management Committee. Thank you.
And I hand the stage over to Alice to speak to our Volunteer of the Year award.
Thank you, Natasha. I'm really delighted that the board has decided to present the Volunteer of the Year award this year to Saya Beheshti. And I just want to go over a few of my interactions with with Saya over the years. I think my first recollection was when Saya was studying at York University, and York has a native plant garden, and the Nanps Seedex used to receive seeds from the York University garden. And of course, it was Saya that was sending them to us, and we thank you for that. Saya actually continues to send us seeds for the Seedex from her own garden still. My second recollection is seeing Saya at some of the community events that Nanps attends. And Saya often volunteers for Nanps at these events, but often too, I would contact her and she would say, well, I have my own table at this event. But in truth, she's volunteering for Nanps as well, because at these events, she's directing all the people that come to her table to our table, and she's really keen on promoting Nanps, and we thank her for that. Saya has volunteered at a number of plant sales. She's super helpful. She's telling me, just put me where you need me. She's always, she lights up the room when she's there, and very eager to talk to people about native plants. She did say one thing that I would like to take issue with. She said, there's not a lot of manicures amongst these people. So Saya, next year at the plant sale, check my nails. This year, Saya offered Nanps to set up a plant sale at her home in her garden. And this was an amazing event. Saya looked after the volunteers. I think many came from her Underhill Seed Sitters group and family as well. She made signage for all the plants, and she had a volunteer at each station. There was a different topic at each station and a scavenger hunt. It was well attended, and it was a wonderful day. I just want to say thank you to Saya for all the many ways. I'm probably missing quite a few things that she has done for Nanps over the years, but we really appreciate it, and we will be sending you a gift in the mail to show our appreciation. And Saya, I just wondered if you wanted to say just hello briefly.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Nanps and Alice. I've gone, everybody who's ever met me knows that I always say that Nanps is one of the organizations you need to join. It is my favorite group. I've belonged to many, and what unites the people in Nanps is the love of the life that surrounds us. And I've met all my best friends come from this organization, and it has truly been an honor. And I'd like to give a shout out to my friends and who volunteered their time and energy and knowledge at the garden tour that we had, and as well as many people who grew it. And so I'm just going to give a shout out to the people who volunteered on the day, and those are Anthony, Karan, Karen, Maya, Mina, Pat, Sanam, and Trixie, who they just spent so much time talking to all the people that came through, in addition to the other Underhill seed sitters who grew the native plants that we gave away at the event. It has truly been, I've learned so much. One of the first presentations that I ever attended was by Stefan. I remember it was in the Fairview Public Library room, and I just want to say this will always be my favorite group. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Saya. That was lovely. Next up is our video garden contest, where we will show a video montage of this year's entries. Adam is going to go over the contest rules and criteria, and then we will go and show the montage before voting on this year's winners. Over to you, Adam.
Okay, thank you. So the Native Guardian Video Contest is a contest where contestants are to submit videos of the native gardens that they plant at their homes and private property. The award money is given to us from Chungsan Leung as a part of the Deborah Shute Foundation. Each year, $500 is given annually to be awarded to the contestants. So typically we have two categories, experienced and novice. Although this year there's just two submissions which are part of the experience category. There's a $150 award for first prize and a $75 award for second prize. So we'll be voting on those two entries. When you're watching the videos, primarily we're looking for certainly native plants only is a major rule. We're looking for emphasis on ecological relationships within the gardens, insects and whatnot. We're also looking for the effort in theatrical creativity an artistic quality. If there's a wildlife certification that the contestant has, that's an additional quality. So I think that's it. We can start the montage.
Great, thanks. You should see that coming up on your screen shortly.
Hello, my gardening friends. Today I would like to share with you an overview of my native plant gardens, a bit of a history of how I got started with native plant gardening, and some tips and resources that you might find useful in your native plant gardening journey as well. As I'm chatting, I'll be sharing videos and pictures of my gardens and featuring many of the native plants that I have in my gardens as well. I'm in southwestern Ontario in Canada, and I started gardening many, many years ago, but I only really discovered native plants about 5 years ago. I was researching a new plant that was shared with me to make sure that I met its needs, as I do for all new plants in my gardens. And this plant was obedient plant, and it was most certainly my gateway plant into native plant gardening. I saw pollinators flock to this plant like nothing I've seen before in the garden. It was like a light bulb went off in my brain. I thought that I was doing good by planting any plants without rhyme or reason, but I quickly discovered the importance of native plants in particular and how the plants that I chose for my gardens could help support the local ecosystem and particularly pollinators that we all know are in decline. And this quickly became a passion of mine pretty much overnight. So now, 5 years later, I have over 70 different species of native plants in my gardens, and that collection is growing every season, no pun intended. My goal is to start small and eventually have mostly native plants in my gardens over time. I'm particularly proud of my newest shade garden, where I have about 90% native plants. I also have decomposing logs, which I think not only add to the biodiversity in the garden, but also add to the aesthetic as well. And I have a space at the back where I lay old stems for pollinators and other critters to make homes. I start many of my plants from seed, and this kind of growth takes time. Some of my plants have taken years before I even see the first bloom. In time, I will remove more and more of the non-native plants in my gardens as the native species get more established and flourish. I'm also doing my best to learn. There's a lot to learn when it comes to native plant gardening. It's like each plant has its own recipe card, and I have to figure out the best methods to keep them happy, individually, as a collective, and in balance with the needs of my life and family. I completed my pollinator stewardship certification from Pollinator Partnership Canada, and I learned so much about pollinators, creating pollinator habitat, and ensuring that I have blooms and host plants to serve pollinators in all stages of development. I would definitely recommend this program for anyone interested in learning more about building back biodiversity and supporting pollinators in your gardens. I do my best to share what I'm learning by documenting my native plant gardens monthly and sharing these tours on YouTube to help people see how these plants develop over time, to show how this can be done in a suburban garden context, and to help people plan their garden design, knowing how these plants look throughout the seasons. So there you have it. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. And I hope that this shows that you can start small, see impacts almost immediately, and keep growing as you go. Thank you for watching. And I hope that you might be interested in starting or expanding a native plant garden in your space as well.
Again. Hello and welcome to Nimki Wamtigwagatigan.
It is named after our son Nimki and the words for forest and garden. Established in 2017, it is located on Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This is southwest of Hamilton, Ontario.
I like learning the Anishinaabe plant names, like the word for ostrich fern, Wewagoggin means to be bent or curved, and that is a perfect description of how the plant emerges from the soil each spring. We have worked on planting native plants that will be food, medicines, or utility plants now and in the future. We want our son to have food and medicines for life.
Look at the fireflies dancing at night with the different colors they emit. We aim to provide as much biodiversity as possible for the ecotypes of these 2 acres. The ecotypes are old field mixed to wood plains and lower lying seasonal flooding areas.
We chose plants based on these ecotypes and aim to use seeds ethically sourced and collected as closely as possible to this property. We are working on reintroducing species that should be present in this area and removing the invasives such as buckthorn and Canada thistle.
A goose and wild turkey families nest here in spring.
We chose the species based on traditional teachings from elders, old written Anishinaabe references, and local indigenous plant knowledge holders.
I like watching the hummingbirds visiting the garden and the red-spotted purple admiral butterflies. We also use native plants to attract pollinators to our native and kitchen gardens so we can have buzz pollination for these annual food crops.
I like the blue obelia flower because it's color. Miigwech ki ben bach wayan. Thank you for visiting with me.
Okay, thank you so much. That was our selection of entries this year. I'm going to put out a poll that will allow us to vote on this year's selection. And as a reminder, we will show the screen so that people can see. Have a little bit of a reminder. I think that was an excellent collection of submissions this year, very informative. So this year we only have 2 candidates. So it should be, everyone is going to be winning a prize. So as a reminder, we had 2 entries. The first was by Branty in the experience category, and the second was by Fiona, also in the experience category. So I'm going to ask that that you use that as a reminder when I launch the polls here for you very shortly. And you'll see them come up on the screen, and you will choose who you prefer to have as the winner of this year's video garden contest. You should see that coming up on your screen shortly. And it is based in order of how the entries were submitted. So there you go. Everyone is encouraged to participate. If you are a Nanps member, not sure if you can see the polls coming up on your end. I don't think you can, but it's a very close race at this point in time. At this point in time, it's straight down the middle. We have half of the submissions voting for one video and half voting for another. I may choose to relaunch the poll one more time to see if we can get a clear winner. And I'll wait one more minute to see if there's a final submission, if we can have a clear entry, a clear winner. Okay. I'm going to relaunch the poll one more time because we're stuck in the middle. For all of you that voted once, please vote again. I will give you under a minute, and then hopefully we will have a clear winner. Poll is closing in 10 seconds. And the poll has been ended. We do have a clear winner. Video number 2, submitted by Fiona, wins first place in the Experienced Gardener section. And as we can see, it was an excellent year and the competition was high. So congratulations, Fiona. You will receive the first place position, and Brandy will receive second place. Congratulations to all this year's winners. Adam, if you have any closing comments, I will hand the microphone over to you.
Nothing other than to say thank you, and I thought the submissions were great, and it was a pleasure to do the contest.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. And I second that, and I now pass the mic over to Sarah.
I'll actually pass it to Blair first, who will do a bit of a Giving Tuesday notice.
Right. Thanks, Sarah. And thanks for everyone who's still with us today. Lots of great subjects or categories to chew on today in the AGM. But just a quick note that I make mention of every year, and that is our main fundraiser for the year is upcoming, and that is Giving Tuesday. So Giving Tuesday is a global event, and it puts a spotlight on the importance of charities to our society, and as a chance to remind you of our mission and the opportunity to support our mission financially or through a willingness to volunteer, or possibly both. So the past few years, Nanps has received a very nice response to our Giving Tuesday message, and we're hopeful that that will repeat in 2024. So look for communications from us in November, and this year, very early December, about Giving Tuesday. The official date of Giving Tuesday this year is December 3rd. So that's when it's official. That's the big day. So with that, I'll pass things back to Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. It's always great to connect and learn together with our membership. So as I begin closing remarks, I'd like to extend great thanks to our departing board members, Adam Centurioni, Natasha Gonzalez, Alice Kong, who is our longest serving board member and is hugely committed. All of your contributions to this organization have been greatly appreciated, and we know we'll stay connected. We're very much looking forward to working with our 4 new incoming board members as well. So our organization is driven by a commitment to the protection, preservation, cultivation, and promotion of flora indigenous to North America in both urban and wild areas. The work that we do, including our seed exchange, plant sale, webinars, committees, the creation and distribution of the Blazing Star, and more, helps further our mission and reach more people like you. So we're so thankful to our membership who help us to do our work. We're always so pleased to meet and connect with you online and in person through our shared love for native plants and understanding of their importance. Our goal is to create more avenues for engagement and member feedback so that we can continue to offer services that are of value to you. And note that if you are at all unsure about your membership status, you can always email us at membership@namps.org. Namps is an organization with a lot of history and a lot of opportunities, so please do reach out to us whenever there's a need, and please let your friends and family know that we exist. We're also almost entirely volunteer run, which is outstanding. On behalf of the entire board, I'd like to offer our great thanks to our amazing, committed volunteers who help make our events a success, who contribute to our committees, who edit and write articles for our Blazing Star, and more. I'm going to name some people who deserve a special thank you. Their commitment to our organization is absolutely remarkable. So I'll begin with Irie Fedun, editor extraordinaire for the Blazing Star, as well as producer B. Patterson and copy editor Vicky Sunai Low, Ali Hayes, our communications coordinator, Rolf Strutters for managing our membership, volunteer coordinator Cheryl Lewis. Now Cheryl will be stepping down from this role shortly, but her work this year has been absolutely outstanding. Everyone who serves in our committees, a real big thank you to you. And as we come to a close, I'd like to take this opportunity to let you know that our seed exchange is coming up soon, and we do welcome your seeds. And the full list of seeds will be available and circulated through our upcoming Blazing Star. I'm going to take a bit of time to open the floor for any questions from our membership. If you do, just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question. And I'm not seeing any questions. So with that, thank you again for coming to officially end things. And if no one else has a question, then we'll officially end things. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'd like to make a motion to end our 2024 annual general meeting. Can I get a second?
Again,
Thank you, Adam. Raise hands for approval.
thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. That puts our meeting to a close. Thank you so much for joining us.